Do you find making masculine cards difficult? I did too. But then I created a method that works every time. It is foolproof. Let me show you how. So I created this PDF which I use, and I have included for free in the description box below, so you can print it out on cardstock, which I totally suggest because you can cut it into thirds and store on a binder ring if you want. But let's take a look at it. So each section is a part of a card. So the first section is colors, and I suggest choosing 1 to 3 colors. And I have neutrals, which are your beiges, browns, and tans, black, gray, ivory, or white, your blues, greens, fall colors such as oranges, reds, and yellows, and of course, team colors. Since team colors tend to be 2 colors, you should also choose to pair that with a neutral. The second section is themes, and you could choose 1 to 2 themes, such as wood or concrete, metals, which would include gold, silver or chrome, copper, rust or patina, stripes and plaids, sports, textures, geometric shapes, outer space, nature or outdoors, beach or sea themes, animals, and of course, machines. The third and final section to creating masculine cards is choosing 1 to 3 techniques. I have included ink blending or sprays, alcohol ink, paper tearing or collage, mixed media or pastes, die cutting, embossing, stenciling, stamping or ephemera, coloring, such as alcohol markers, colored pencils, or watercolor, fun folds or pop-ups, and shaker cards. Now, there's no right or wrong way. You don't have to start with color and move to theme and then finally technique. You can start anywhere you want. In my case, I started with technique. So let me show you what I did. So for this first card, I wanted to choose a technique that was fairly simple. So I chose embossing, and I'm going to be using this circuit embossing folder. It is a 3D SIZZIX embossing folder. If you'd like to see the video where I made the file folders for these, I'll link it up above for you. So I use the Spellbinders Platinum 6 with the universal plate system. Now, looking at the documentation, it says to use plate D, which is the adapter plate. Now, I find that that sandwich works if I use a Spellbinders 3D embossing folder. But this is SIZZIX, and it is a thicker embossing folder, so I'm going to have to change that sandwich. I'm going to mist my theme, which is silver. I'm going to mist that cardstock with a little bit of water and then put it inside my embossing folder, which you're going to see is going to give me fits because it curled right on up. Most of the time, misting your cardstock will keep your cardstock from cracking when you run it through those 3D embossing folders. Hey y'all, I'm Wendy from Village Card and Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you spending your time with me, and I hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. I'd love to hear in the comments below what techniques, colors, and themes you would use for your masculine cards. And if you go ahead and make one of those or 2, join us over on Facebook at Village Card and Crafts and show us what you made. We'd love to see it. So I wanted to illustrate that sometimes you have to change the sandwich up and your machine will make a huge difference. So in this case, I am following the manufacturer's suggested sandwich with the adapter plate. Never force your embossing folder to go through your machine. You will break your machine. The SIZZIX folders are much thicker than the Spellbinders folders. So now I'm bringing out a piece of cork that I have used many times, and it doesn't have enough pressure. So try again. Now I'm going to add a metal shim. Let's see if this works. Well, still not enough pressure. So Now I'm going to try a piece of chipboard. Now this is just a backing from a packaging that I had, kind of like a cereal box. Still not enough pressure. So now I had to bring in the big guns, and I am going to use the rubber mat that comes with my universal plate system. Now the rubber mat is generally used to emboss a die cut so that it doesn't cut through the paper. But in this case, it's going to work beautifully. So let's take off all of the toppers that I had on top of my embossing folder and check it out. Now going back to my techniques on my method sheet, I've decided I'm going to do a little stamping. Send some pixie dust by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. So I'm going to shop my binder for what I want to stamp onto my card. If you'd like to know about my organization system, I will link that video up above. But basically, it keeps me from having to go searching through all my stamps and dies. I can simply look through my binder. And here I have found what I think is the perfect stamp set. This is a MAYMAY Made It stamp set that was part of a monthly subscription. It's called All About It. And I will link that below as well. My organization system has told me to look in the birthday section, number 87, and I will find that stamp set. So now that we have that, I have decided that I am going to use one of those robots as a focal point on my card. In keeping with my color scheme, I have chosen black STA-ZON ink, and I'm going to be stamping my robot image onto acetate. And I'm going to use the larger robot. And the reason I used acetate was because I want the circuits from that embossing folder, I want that to show through. And I thought this was a great opportunity to try this out. Now, you have to use a permanent ink on acetate. Anything else will just wipe right off. And you've got to give it time to dry. It does dry fairly quickly, but I kind of set it aside for quite some time. And you'll notice that I am using a stamping platform. This one, unfortunately, is no longer available here in the US, but any stamping platform will do. As this is a new stamp set and I have never used any of the stamps, I condition my stamps by using a glue eraser, and I just rub off all the what I call chemical junk off of the stamp so that I get a better stamped impression, especially since I'm not stamping this on anything porous. I'm stamping it onto acetate. I also got out the STAZON cleaner that is formulated to get STAZON ink or archival ink off as cleanly as possible. It will stain the stamp a bit, but that's okay. A stained stamp is a loved stamp. So I am tapping the STAZON onto the stamp at this point. Remember that any type of archival ink or permanent ink will have a little plastic cover in addition to the exterior cover. That is to keep the ink from dissipating as quickly. It will dry out so fast, so make sure that you keep that little plastic insert to cover the pad first, then put the other cover on top of it when you store it. So for the sake of time, I am speeding this portion of the video up. Now, a quick tip about stamping on acetate. Your clear or polymer stamps come stored on acetate. Therefore, when you go to stamp on acetate, it will cling to it. So you will need to make sure that you put it back in the exact same spot if you're going to stamp a second time. So it's about this point in my card making process that I realize, how am I going to attach the acetate to my card base and not see glue? Acetate's pretty clear. Obviously, much more clear than vellum, so we know how vellum works with glue. I needed to figure out what kind of glue I had here in the house that I could use, because remember, I want to see the robot's body of circuits through the acetate, and I definitely don't want to see glue. Let's see how I figured that out. So I'm going to use a piece of blue cardstock so that you can see what I'm doing, along with a small piece of acetate. Now I'm going to be testing 4 different glues. This one in this bottle is the Ranger Tim Holtz Multi-Medium Matte. And I got to be honest, I am not a huge fan of this particular glue. I have had a pretty significant broken wrist, probably, I don't know, 20 something, 25 years ago. And I find it just too thick for my hand to be able to manage. Then I'm trying a line of my favorite Barely Arts Precision Craft glue. Next up, I'm going to try Glossy Accents, also a Ranger product. And honestly, I didn't have a whole lot of hope for this. I don't know. We'll see. My bottle got a little clogged, so I had to dig it out. And that's one of the issues with Glossy Accents, is that it can clog the bottle. One of the reasons I love my precision craft glue so much, I've never had a clog. And the 4th glue is Aleene's Clear Gel Tacky Glue. Now, this is crystal clear in the bottle, so I was thinking that this might be the answer that I was looking for. And it comes out really clear. Let's check it out. And this is how all 4 glues look before they're completely dry. Following drying, the second one from the left is the Glossy Accents and the winner, because the tip of the bottle was much better, but Aleene's Clear Gel Tacky Glue would have been a great choice as well. So reviewing my cute little card along with my method sheet, I have chosen black and white as my colors, metal, which was silver in this case. I could create texture or machines using my circuit. And then my techniques, I chose stamping, heat embossing, and dry embossing. Okay, what'd you think? I think it came out super cute and totally follows the elements of my method. Plus, it makes a great masculine card. So just for another illustration, I'm going to show you a second card and the products that I used to make it. Let's go check it out. For my color choices, I have chosen brown, black, and red. My theme will be a nature outdoors theme and animals. And my techniques will be ink blending, collage, and die cuts. Alrighty, so for the collage part, I am using Tim Holtz Ideology collage paper. This one is Entomology. And I am using the SIZZIX die set called Funky Insects. My color choices were Distress Oxides in Barn Door, Vintage Photo, and Black Soot, along with just a little Distress Crayon in Antiqued Bronze. I had so much fun making this masculine thank you card. Here's a close-up, and the collage paper just really made it. It was fabulous. And here's a look at the inside. Sorry to have bugged you. I appreciate you.